Most people walk through life thinking their greatest threats come from the outside, other people, competition, betrayal, criticism, or the unpredictable chaos of the world. They spend years building walls, defending their image, protecting their pride, trying to control every situation so that nothing from the outside can shake them. But what they never understand, what they never even consider, is that the true destruction never comes from the outside. It comes quietly, slowly, silently, from within themselves. And this is why so many fall without ever seeing it coming. Stoic philosophy has been shouting this truth for centuries. What hurts you is not the event, but your response to it. People collapse not because life is cruel, but because they have built weak foundations inside their own mind. They fear judgment, so they shrink. They fear loss, so they cling. They fear discomfort, so they avoid challenges. And all of this fear, this internal war, eats them, alive long before the world ever touches them. The Stoics learned something powerful. A person who controls their inner world becomes untouchable in the outer world. But the opposite is also true. When someone has no control over themselves, even the smallest inconvenience becomes enough to break them. Think about the people you've seen fall apart from minor things. A simple rejection destroys their confidence. A small disagreement shatters their peace. A tiny setback makes them question their entire life. Why? Because their enemy wasn't the situation. Their enemy was inside them the whole time. And here's the truth most people refuse to accept. Your ego is your biggest blind spot. It tells you you're always right. It tells you you're better than everyone else. It tells you that you deserve more without the effort. It tells you that discomfort is an insult. And slowly, silently, it weakens you. Ego ruins relationships, destroys discipline, kills ambition, and blinds you to your own faults. It creates a version of you that is fragile, defensive, easy to trigger, and impossible to improve. That is why Marcus Aurelius warned, it is possible to be defeated by yourself. People transfer blame onto others because it's easier than facing the truth. They blame their past, their circumstances, their boss, their partner, their family, everyone except the one person responsible, themselves. And this self-deception is the slow poison that eventually destroys them. Life will test you. It will push you, confuse you, humble you. But life cannot destroy you unless your inner world is unprotected. You don't break because life is too hard. You break because your mind is too untrained. The strongest people aren't the loud ones, the angry ones, the ones who pretend to have everything under control. The strongest people are the ones who confront themselves, who acknowledge their flaws, who rise above their impulses, who remain calm in storms that would drown others. Stoicism teaches that strength is not about dominating the world, it's about mastering yourself. People who never look inward eventually lose control outward. They sabotage their goals, ruin their relationships, create their own suffering, and then wonder why everything is falling apart. They keep repeating the same mistakes, expecting different results, never realizing the problem is inside the mirror. This is why the Stoics practice self-reflection every day. They ask themselves uncomfortable questions. Where did I react emotionally today? Where did I let ego guide my behavior? What fear controlled my decisions? What pain did I create for myself? Most people avoid these questions because they fear what they might find. But avoiding the truth doesn't protect you, it destroys you. The very thing they run from becomes the thing that breaks them. Here's the paradox. The moment you stop fighting the world and start fighting your own weaknesses, you become powerful. You no longer break from rejection. You no longer collapse from criticism. You no longer fear uncertainty, because you've built something unshakable inside. Those who never see this coming, those who think the world is their enemy, never realize the real enemy was their own mind. Their lack of discipline, their emotional impulsiveness, their fragile ego, their avoidance of discomfort, all of it forms the storm that eventually destroys them. So the Stoic life is about flipping the script. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you ask, what in me needs to grow so this no longer has power over me? Instead of panicking, you breathe. Instead of reacting, you observe. Instead of complaining, you adapt. Instead of breaking, you strengthen. Because the truth is simple. You cannot control the world, but you can always control yourself. And the moment you do that, the world loses the power to destroy you. Those who never learn this will fall. Those who understand it will rise above everything. And that's what they never see coming. The silent strength of a person who is unshakable from within. There is a moment in everyone's life where they begin to sense that Something isn't working. They feel stuck, frustrated, drained, or disappointed, yet they can't quite understand why. They blame circumstances, people, timing, luck, anything except the one thing that's actually responsible: their own patterns. This is the silent weakness most people carry without realizing it. The Stoics called it living without awareness. You go through life on autopilot, reacting the same way, thinking the same thoughts, repeating the same behaviors, and then wondering why nothing changes. Here's the truth. Your life doesn't break in one moment. It breaks slowly, through the choices you keep avoiding. When you avoid difficult conversations, your relationships rot from the inside. When you avoid discipline, your dreams die quietly. When you avoid facing your insecurities, they grow stronger. When you avoid responsibility, your problems multiply. And yet people walk around confused, thinking life is unfair. But it isn't unfair. It's responding to the level of control you have over yourself. The Stoics believed that the most dangerous person is not the one with no weaknesses. The most dangerous person is the one who ignores their weaknesses, because what you refuse to face becomes the thing that controls you. Think about anger. Most people say that situation made me angry, but anger comes from within you. Two people can face the same insult. One shrugs it off, the other explodes. Same situation, different inner world. Think about fear. One person sees uncertainty as a threat. Another sees it as opportunity. Same situation, different inner world. This is why the Stoics said, "You suffer more in imagination than in reality." Your enemy is not life. Your enemy is the story you tell yourself about life. Your enemy is not life. Your enemy is the story you tell yourself about life. And the most destructive stories are the ones you don't even know you're telling. People don't see how their lack of emotional control shapes their destiny. They don't see how their impatience ruins their progress. They don't see how their excuses sabotage their potential. They don't see how their self-doubt kills opportunities before they even try. And the worst part? They believe these patterns are normal. They believe this is just who they are, so they never challenge themselves enough to grow beyond them. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Your character is not fixed. Your mind is not fixed. You can rebuild yourself from the inside out. To do that, you must first acknowledge the truth that most people run from. You are responsible for your thoughts, your reactions, your habits, and your outcomes. Not your parents, not your past, not society, not fate. You. But people fear taking responsibility because it means giving up their excuses. Excuses feel safe. Excuses protect the ego. Excuses make you feel like a victim of life instead of an architect of your future. But every excuse you hold on to is a chain around your potential. Once you drop the excuses and face yourself honestly, something powerful happens. You stop being controlled by fear. You stop being manipulated by your emotions. You stop being thrown around by circumstances. You regain your power. Because the moment you take responsibility for your internal world, you take responsibility for your external world too. Here's what the Stoics knew. A person who masters their inner weaknesses becomes impossible to break. They may face setbacks, but they stand back up. They may face betrayal, but they remain grounded. They may face uncertainty, but they adapt. They may face loss, but they do not collapse. This level of strength doesn't come from pretending to be tough. It doesn't come from arrogance or ego. It comes from one thing: self-awareness. When you understand yourself, when you know your triggers, when you know your patterns, when you know your impulses, when you know your fears, you gain control, and the things that once destroyed you no longer have the power to do so. So Section 2 reveals this truth clearly. People are destroyed by the weakness they refuse to face, and they are liberated when they finally confront it. There comes a moment in every person's life where something finally snaps. Not in a destructive way, but in a transformative one. A moment where you look at yourself, your decisions, your reactions, your emotional chaos, and you realize, I cannot keep living like this. That moment, quiet, private, unseen by the world, is the turning point the Stoics understood better than anyone. It's the moment when you stop blaming, you stop running, you stop pretending, and you finally see the truth that has been there all along. You are the one who must change. This is the moment most people never reach, because it requires brutal honesty, a level of honesty that feels uncomfortable, even painful. But that discomfort is the doorway to strength. The Stoics taught that every transformation begins with a single decision. I will no longer betray myself. Because that's what happens when you let emotions control you, when you let anger dictate your decisions, when you let fear stop your progress, when you let ego blind you. You are not being defeated by life. You are betraying your own potential. The Stoics understood something life-changing. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner discipline. If your mind is chaotic, your life becomes chaotic. If your emotions are unstable, your relationships become unstable. If your self-control is weak, your results are weak. If your thinking is reactive, your life becomes reactive. But the moment you decide to take control of your inner world, your outer world begins to shift in ways people can't understand. This is why others are shocked when you suddenly stop overreacting, when you stop chasing, when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop depending on validation, when you stop accepting disrespect, when you stop letting emotions decide your destiny. To them, it seems like you've changed overnight. But you know the truth. You didn't change suddenly. You just finally woke up. And that awakening is what destroys everything that used to destroy you. You start to see that life is not happening to you. It's responding to you. People aren't the problem. Your attachment to their opinions was. Pain isn't the problem, your resistance to it was. Failure isn't the problem, your fear of it was. The Stoics believed that once you shift your inner lens, the entire world transforms. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you become stronger. Here's what really happens during this turning point.